UFC 314 is coming up next weekend, and today, guys, I have the full card breakdown for you with timestamps if you'd like to skip any part of the video. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Guys, we're going to be going through all of the fights from the bottom of the card all the way to the top of the card, predicting all the fights, talking about them. I am a fight fan who likes to bet. We're going to be taking a look over at the betting odds. We're going to be covering everything that we possibly can about these fights, and again, timestamps are there if you'd like to skip any part of the video. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get started. Starting off with the first fight, we have Nora Cornolle versus Hailey Cowan. Now, this card is actually really good. This fight in particular, I'm not necessarily looking all that forward to. We have Nora Cornolle, who is an aggressive striker who is, for the division, especially the women's divisions, she is very violent. She will throw every single kind of strike at you in order to get the finish. She is sometimes, though, when she is going for the finish, if she finds that she hurts her opponent or is just trying to get her opponent out of there, she does display low fight IQ. She will just want to violently finish you, and it doesn't always mean making the best decisions. The only other thing to mention about Nora Cornolle is she can get frustrated if she is losing the fight. She is an emotional fighter. She can taunt. She can get angry. And those things really work against a fighter when they're in the ring, okay? It's not like one of those oh my god, I'm seeing red, I'm gonna, pound this other girl to death. No, sometimes when she's losing, I don't know, I have trouble seeing her, pulling back the victory, okay? Hailey Cowan, on the other hand, she's a kickboxer with decent wrestling in her back pocket. Her takedown defense is better than her takedown offense, and other than that, sometimes she shows some pretty decent movement in the octagon. She's, guys, what can I say? It's it's the bantamweight division in the UFC. The skill level is not necessarily there. Hailey Cowan was coming from the LFA after finally getting on the Dana White's Contender Series. She ended up fighting Jamie Lynn Horth, ended up losing that. Really nothing to note there, to be honest with you. Nora Cornolle was actually on a little bit of a roll coming into the UFC, and it was two decent wins, to be honest with you, depending on how you want to look at the Melissa Mullins one. Jacqueline Cavalcanti, I did not like this performance from her, but Jacqueline Cavalcanti is also somebody who is actually capable of fighting, so whenever these girls will come against somebody who is a really good fighter, or not even a really good fighter, a decent fighter, they'll end up losing. It's a low competition bout. I would imagine that Nora Cornolle will just be more violent over there. I would imagine she's going to make Hailey Cowan uncomfortable in there, and I would imagine that she's going to be the aggressor, maybe holding up against the fence a little bit. The judges like that for the female division, so I'm leaning towards Nora Cornolle in this fight, but it's a pretty low confident pick. Hailey Cowan has done nothing to impress me, and at least every once in a while when you look at Nora Cornolle, it's there's a little bit of potential there, but who knows? Maybe she's going to get kicked in the leg a few times and then just start taunting instead of checking the kick. You always got to worry about something like that. So Nora Cornolle is going to be my pick. Let's take a look over at OddsJam. Sorry, guys. I'm going to mute my phone over there. I think it went off a couple times. Nora Cornolle is sitting at a minus 192 average odds favorite over here, and we do have props already, which is cool. Over 2.5 minus 222. I wouldn't take that for a Nora Cornolle fight because she is capable of finishing the fight, but regardless, man, let's get into the rest of the card. Nora Cornolle is going to be my pick. All right, guys, let's continue on over to the next fight. And this fight, I'm actually very excited for. I'm excited for the potential of Marco Tulio. He's taking on Tresean Gore. This is a beautiful prospect matchup, in my opinion. I'm excited for this. Tresean Gore, only 5-2, but still making his name within the UFC right now. For breaking down Tresean Gore, to be honest with you, there's not really a ton to note. He's a heavy-handed wrestler with pretty low volume in general. There's not really too much to break down about Tresean Gore. He's 5-2, but in the vast majority of these fights, he has been handed actually some very difficult competition. And I know I'm highlighting somebody that is 0-0 right now, but trust me, going into the UFC, besides the Cody Brundage one, which was a weird, it happens. Cody Brundage is having the Michael Johnson effect at some point, you know what I mean? But he fought Brian Battle, Josh Fremd, and Antonio Tricoli. That's a tough resume to have for your first few fights. Marco Tulio, on the other hand, is a guy that I've been very excited about his potential. I've been watching this guy in the LFA. He's from Shootbox. He trains with Charles Oliveira, and he really brings it. He is a well-rounded and powerful fighter who gets better as the fight continues. He's good when things get a little bit dirty, just as these Shootbox guys typically are. I also don't know to what extent Ian Gary has been training with these guys. I know that Ian Gary was there for the last fight. I've seen Ian Gary in Marco Tulio's corner before, but it's not coming to me if it was every fight that I've seen Ian Gary in the corner. And the reason I bring that up is because to train with Charles Oliveira, to train with Ian Gary, that is fantastic talent to have with you. Unfortunately, I was very excited to watch him coming to the UFC. Like I said, I've been watching him in the LFA days, had his performances in the Contender Series. Then he had the weird fight with Ihor Peteria. Ehorpiteria, not catching a break again. Like, he got kicked in the nuts really, really bad, and when the fight went on, he clearly wasn't okay, so it kind of took away from Marco Tulio's win, to be honest with you. So I am excited to see him back in the octagon. I am going to be picking Marco Tulio to get the job done. I think that he is more well-rounded than Tresean Gore. I would imagine that, I don't want to say he's going to be able to bully him in this fight, but I like the talent that surrounds him. I like that even that he seems to be improving from fight to fight. When I was watching him in the LFA, he showed talent right then and there, and he's been training with some pretty high-level guys, so I like Marco Tulio in this matchup. I am going to be picking him to get the job done. Let's take a look at what OddsJam has to say, and Marco Tulio is a big favorite right now, minus 358. I didn't really know what to expect. I would imagine that he was going to be the favorite, but Marco Tulio, man, he seems like he certainly has potential to be something special, but of course, like, he still hasn't fought anybody that is really like a solid name yet, right? Over 1.5 at average odds of minus 166. I can't really predict a round line for you on that one, so I would stay away from that. But Tresean Gore, I don't imagine is going to get past Marco Tulio. I am very excited for this fight. But guys, let's continue on up the card over to Dan 50K Ige taking on Sean Woodson. I finally got it right. I've had a little bit of flack on my channel because for some reason I kept saying Sean Woodson. I don't know why I did that, but I'll do my best. I'm trying. Sorry, Sean Woodson. Okay? Dan Ige, 50K Ige, is a well-rounded fighter, but primarily a kickboxer with excellent speed, power. He has all of the heart, cardio, and experience in the world. Recently, in his bouts, he's been doing a better job mixing in takedowns and grappling and really, really like coming together with all that all-around game. Dan Ige is now exiting his prime, but Dan Ige is still performing very, very well, and he's much better than his 18-9 record. He has had one of the toughest resumes in I would imagine the featherweight division, but one of them in the UFC, but we might have to go back and actually like really, really dive into that. I personally thought he won the Lerone Murphy fight, but it was close enough where it wasn't enough to complain, to be honest with you. So he's still putting on good performances. He's getting, I don't know if he's been getting better, but he's been doing a good job at, you know, mixing in the MMA into his game. He's taking on Sean Woodson, who is an extremely lengthy striker who does a great job when he's on the outside, just picking you apart from his range. I always describe this when I am breaking down Sean Woodson because it's so accurate. Dominic Cruz describes his body like his opponents are trying to take a kitchen table down. It seems impossible. He's got a very weird build. I would imagine that if Dan Ige wants to bring the grappling game over here, he's going to run into a kitchen table, and it's not going to be possible to take this guy down. Sean Woodson, though, he has been... I've had a little bit of a weird, like, relationship, not with him, obviously, but, like, watching him, because he looked okay, like a lengthy striker, he does the job, right? But then he fought Alex Caceres, right? Left me very unimpressive. I didn't like how much he was letting Alex Caceres get away with the fight, but then he came in against Fernando Padilla, who I believe to be a very underrated fighter, and just destroyed him. So, he's coming off, I'm feeling good about him, perhaps he's improving, man. I have a tough time seeing Dan Ige getting a hold of Sean Woodson. I would imagine that Sean is going to stay on the outside and pick him apart the entire time. If anybody can get in close, man, it's Dan Ige. Maybe he can just rush in, just swinging the hooks. Like, there is a big reach disadvantage here, and Sean Woodson uses that reach very nicely. But it hasn't always been perfect in his performances. So my pick is going to be Sean Woodson. It wouldn't shock me if Dan Ige, like, really dug in and made this a really close fight. I'm excited for this because I still don't know where Sean Woodson, like, falls in the division, but I'm excited for his potential, man. I hope that Dan Ige wins. Nothing against Sean Woodson, but I really like Dan Ige. I hope he gets the job done. He is always showing up, man. He's always showing up, always putting on fun performances, fun fights. One of the most underappreciated fighters in the UFC, so I personally hope that Dan Ige gets the job done, but my pick is going to be Sean Woodson. Let's take a look at the odds. Very close. Very close. I thought it would be a little bit more in Sean Woodson's favor over here, but he's sitting at a minus 124 average odds favorite right now. And the over 2.5, which I would imagine would happen. I can't see Sean Woodson finishing Dan Ige and vice versa. Over 2.5 at minus 222. Maybe a parlay leg. I'm a big fan of over 1.5 rounds. There's always a chance for something to go wrong when you're talking over 2.5 rounds. I like 1.5. I like my safety. That I would definitely consider playing, but of course we don't have that available to us right now. But my pick again is going to be Sean Woodson to get the job done. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card. Let's continue on. We have Sedriques Dumas taking on Michal Oleksiejczuk. We've talked about this before, and I always feel bad when I talk about Sedriques Dumas because I don't think he's good. I don't think he's good. My breakdown for Sedriques Dumas is he's supposedly a good striker, but he does nothing in the octagon. Nothing impressive. I'm shocked that he scrapes by getting wins. And I don't want to be disrespectful talking about these fighters because I don't have a lot good to say about Sedriques Dumas. So I don't want to be one of those guys like, oh my God, he's horrible. I don't want to be one of those guys, but I struggle to find something positive to say about Sedriques Dumas. I've also received some comments saying where it's like, don't worry about being disrespectful because he's a piece of crap. I don't know anything about that. If anybody can shed some light, I would appreciate that. But maybe it's just like the comments being the comments. Who knows? Regardless, that's besides the point, okay? I can't believe that this guy gets wins. He got the win over Cody Brunage, Abu Zaitar. Who saw that coming? He finally got the loss against Ruziboev, which he was going to go out anyways, no matter how, controversial that was. Then he fought Dennis Tululuin, and my takeaway from this was, okay, he kind of still sucks, but at least he tried in this fight. Is he going to show up and try again? I don't know. The problem is, I've bet against Sedriques Dumas in the past. I don't recall exactly what bets that I did, but there were times where I'm like, there's no way that he wins this fight. And one of them was Abu Zaitar. I bet on Abu Zaitar for sure. And I'm almost sure that I bet on Ruziboev, but those odds might have been a little bit too crazy. But I was feeling good about it. Regardless, I'm like, how? How does that happen? This is MMA. How is he winning? It doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, Michal Oleksiejczuk. He's a dangerous, come-forward striker who wants to finish you in the first round. While he is difficult to deal with when the fight is opening up, there is a clear hole in the grappling department when these two match up. I would imagine that Sedriques Dumas is not going to take him down to the ground. But in the nature that my betting with Sedriques Dumas has been going, who knows? Maybe he's going to turn up and be like an ultimate judo man this time around. Who knows? Michal Oleksiejczuk, his record kind of speaks for himself. He comes in. He is very dangerous in the first round, but there are holes in his game. But he has taken on some really, really tough opponents. So he's had a tough resume. Okay, so he's a little bit better in his 19-9 record, but the style kind of speaks for itself. I'm going to pick Michal Oleksiejczuk to get the win. I want to bet on this fight. My gut is telling me not to just because, I don't know, something goes wrong when I bet on Sedriques Dumas, man, or just bet against him, excuse me. Michal Oleksiejczuk is a very confident pick of mine. I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to storm him in the first round. I think he's going to beat him over 3 rounds, and Sedriques Dumas is not going to take him down. That's what I think is going to happen, but I have a feeling that's going to age very poorly. Let's see what odds Jim has to say, guys. Michal Oleksiejczuk sitting at a minus 195 favorite. I want to bet on that. But man, I'm going to put like 0.25 units on it or something, just like a leg in a fun parlay or something like that. Over 2.5 at plus 125. I actually don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. So Sedriques Dumas can put up a stinker sometimes. Interesting. That's something to take into consideration too. I wonder what the 1.5 is. But I definitely wouldn't bet on 2.5. I want to bet on Michal Oleksiejczuk, but man, who knows? I don't mean to just make an entire breakdown just crapping all over Sedriques Dumas, but I'm not picking him. I'm picking Michal Oleksiejczuk. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card, and this one should actually be pretty fun. We have Darren Elkins taking on Julian Erosa. Both guys coming off of a 2-fight win streak when a lot of people were counting out their careers. So it's exciting. It's an exciting matchup. Very, very well put for both of their careers, too. I'll start with Darren the Damage Elkins. He is a very tough, high-pressure striker who likes to make things dirty and finish you. And in the back pocket, he also has some wrestling skills that he has been using, but it's not always the game plan to go and just, I'm going to come and wrestle you. Darren Elkins is 40 years old, almost 41 years old. He is still a very, very tough guy. While he is past his prime, he's not washed, okay? Darren Elkins, and it showed, he ended up getting 2 really nice wins. Really nice wins. He had some sloppy wars in there, to be honest with you, but he got a win over TJ Brown and Daniel Pineda. Daniel Pineda, nothing to write home about, but you know what? At least, TJ Brown, it could be better win, but at 41 years old almost, this dude is still winning, which is crazy. Julian Erosa, on the other hand, he is a well-rounded fighter who is fairly dangerous everywhere. Sometimes, unfortunately, like Julian Erosa, and this gets him in trouble every once in a while, he can lack fight IQ. He is aggressive. He wants to come finish you. He can finish you on the feet. He can finish you on the ground. And that really showed, especially in his last 2 fights, man. It was sloppy, not technical, but got a win over Christian Rodriguez, which I hold very, very highly. I think Christian Rodriguez is a great fighter. Ricardo Ramos, too. He has all the potential in the world. He got really nice back-to-back guillotine chokes over there. But then, of course, you have the weird fights where you get knocked out by Fernando Padilla, and Alex Caceres knocked you out. I thought he was improving, but probably not. But I think that Fernando Padilla, like we talked about earlier, is an underrated fighter, so don't hold too much stock into that, guys. I think this fight's going to be a mess. I don't know where it's going to go, if it's going to stay on the feet. If Darren Elkins wants to go for a takedown, can Julian Erosa get another guillotine choke in? I would imagine that Julian Erosa is just a little bit better than Darren Elkins everywhere. And while Darren Elkins is still tough, Darren Elkins can make things sloppy. Julian Erosa can also get sloppy within there. I don't think Darren Elkins is going to knock out Julian Erosa. And that's where I think Julian Erosa is going to thrive in this fight. I think that it's going to be sloppy. I think it's going to be a little bit of a war. And I think that Julian Erosa is going to get the better of most exchanges, possibly finding a finish. Julian Erosa is going to be a pick of mine. I am fairly confident in saying that. Let's take a look what the odds are over here. Julian Erosa, minus 446 favorite on the average odds over here. That's steep, and why don't I hate it? But no, that's way too much to bet on. Minus 446, no thank you. Over 2.5 at plus money. There's a possibility there, but I also don't like that. What's with all the props being dropped early? Is it because of pay-per-view? Usually we make these, excuse me guys, sorry about that. Usually when we make these breakdown videos, there's not a ton to talk about with props, but Julian Erosa I am feeling good about in this matchup. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card to another fight that I am looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the vast majority of this card, guys. It's going to be really, really fun. We have Sumidarji taking on Mitch Rapso. Mitch Rapso, I want to see a little bit more of because he coming to the UFC. He got fed to Andre Lima. Split decision. That says something in my opinion. That is a dog to get handed to. So I think that he has potential. For Mitch Rapso, though, unfortunately, there's not a ton to break down with Mitch Rapso. He's a great boxer with a hole in his grappling game. So he's just a boxer. He comes in, does a good job boxing. That's about it. Sumidarji, on the other hand, he is a fast and accurate striker with great movement, volume, and cardio. He can be taken down as well as with Mitch Rapso, but sometimes he can also struggle with pressure. But I think, and I know that he's lost 3 in a row, but I do think that he is improving his skill set, Sumidarji, just slightly, man. There's just little things here and there where it's okay, you know what, he did a pretty good job over there, Sumidarji, though, he's been relatively inactive. He's coming off of 2 losses against Tim Elliott and Charles Johnson. I personally thought he slightly won the Charles Johnson fight, and like Mitch Rapso I was talking about, he just got fed to Andre Lima. I'm not saying that he got fed because he's been in the UFC for a long time, but Tim Elliott is tough for anybody to deal with. I think he's very, very underrated. Tim Elliott's like a Michael Johnson effect where he can just beat anybody on any given day. But I liked the performance from Charles Johnson, man, because he did a great job, dancing around and point fighting. And I don't mean dancing around to say that as a negative. He did what he was supposed to do. Not a lot of people do that to Charles, and he's pretty scrappy, okay? I think that this is a fairly close fight. I don't know why, though. Obviously, he's going to stay on the feet. I got a little bit of a gut feeling for Mitch Rapso in this one. Sumidarji is on a losing streak, but he has still had good performances. Mitch Rapso just got a split decision loss to Andre Lima. And I think he has potential, man. Especially, I'm talking in, a specific matchup just like this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick Mitch Rapso. Low confidence pick, but I am going to pick Mitch Rapso. A little bit more of a gut feeling on this one. It's going to be on the feet, and I would imagine that he can get the better of the boxing exchanges. You can see Mitch Rapso sitting at an underdog at average odds of plus 176. I don't know if I'd want to bet on that fight. Maybe a leg and a fun parlay that I like to do over 2.5 minus 172. I can see that being the case as well, man, but it's going to be a good fight. I'm interested in that one. Let's continue on up the card, though, guys. Over to Chase Hooper taking on Jim Miller. I don't like this fight because I like both guys and I don't want either fighter to lose. Chase Hooper has been putting on a very, very nice win streak and has been improving from fight to fight. Chase Hooper is, I want to say, a grappler with insane heart. That's typically how you would describe Chase Hooper, but the problem is he's improving. He's improving every single time that we see him. Anyways, Chase Hooper is one of those guys. He's always on the attack, trying to drag his opponents to the ground, use his ground and pound in order to find a submission. He is improving, and not just improving, he seems to be vastly improving from fight to fight and turning himself into a full-blown, well-rounded MMA fighter. His striking, while it's not perfect yet, it really is coming along. He has been on a very, very good win streak against Nick Fior, Jordan Levitt, which was a good performance over there. It was excellent grappling exchanges. Vyacheslav Borshev, domination doesn't do that justice. I personally had 10-7 rounds in there. I really, really would have. And then he had an incredible fight with Clay Guida. I think that Chase Hooper is doing a great job with his improvement. I still struggle, though, to see where he falls once he gets to the rankings. But anyways, he's taking on one of my favorite fighters of all time, that being Jim Miller. He is a well-rounded fighter that can pretty well match you up with anything. If I had to pick his biggest strength, I would say his grappling. But again, the guy can just do it all. The only issue is that Jim Miller is almost 42 years old now. He is not as fast. He's taking more damage in his fights. His heart and his cardio are still present, though. It's just you can tell that Jim Miller is, I don't want to say a shell of his former self, but he's certainly not the fighter that he once was. Unfortunately, guys, like Jim Miller, I forgot to talk about his record, 13-18, kind of speaks for itself. He wins, he loses. He's taking on very, very tough prospects all the time, coming off of a really nice win against Damon Jackson, but that doesn't really say much, to be honest with you. He is getting fed another prospect in Chase Hooper, somebody who has been improving, somebody who is hungry, somebody who is very dedicated to the game. I think that Chase Hooper is going to have his way with Jim Miller, guys. I do. I question Chase Hooper about, like, I'm not confident in Chase Hooper enough to bet yet. I question, but maybe for this matchup, but I question where he kind of fits when it comes to the rankings. But for the outside of the rankings, guys, for the Jim Millers of the division, I would imagine that Chase Hooper will have no problem just working him. Even in the grappling exchanges, I would imagine that Chase Hooper is going to be more aggressive. He's going to get on top of things. Jim Miller is not as fast as he was. If this was prime Jim Miller, I'd pick him hands down. I think that he would just beat Chase Hooper pretty well everywhere. But this is a slowed down version of Jim Miller. Chase Hooper's improving from fight to fight. I like him a lot in this matchup in particular. No matter where it goes, I would imagine that Chase Hooper is going to have a standout performance, and I am very confident in saying that Chase Hooper is going to get the job done. I hope I'm wrong, because again, Jim Miller is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I like Chase Hooper a lot. I just hate this matchup in general. It's one of those things where I don't want to watch either guy lose. I'm excited for the rise of Chase Hooper. I like talking about him. I like cheering for him. I like cheering, like my sister likes Chase Hooper as well. We like cheering for Chase Hooper. But he's going against Jim Miller. I'm not cheering for Chase Hooper in this matchup. Wow. Chase Hooper is a minus 577 favorite. I didn't know, I would expected him to be the favorite. I just didn't think it would be that crazy. I want to say that Jim Miller can pull it off, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. How crazy is it to see Jim Miller at a plus 409 underdog? And you can see the average odds for over 1.5 is minus 142. Jim Miller's tough enough to hang in there. Jim Miller's heart, and while I talked about Jim Miller isn't the same fighter that he was, his heart and his cardio are still there. The grappling skills are there. Will Chase Hooper submit him? Chase Hooper doesn't have any power. I don't mind that. If you want to talk about over 1.5 minus 142, I don't mind that. I don't know if that's something I would really bet on, though. For me personally, guys, and I know that this isn't typically how people work, I go from week to week with betting. So I'm recording this video before the previous card that you guys just watched. This is going live immediately after the UFC card from the previous weekend, depending on what day you're watching this. Might have sounded weird, but I have my bets focused for this weekend at the time of recording right now. So I'd have to really think about it for Jim Miller and Chase Hooper there. I like Chase Hooper a lot in this matchup. I'm going to be picking him to get the job done. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card to a fight in the WMMA strawweight division where I'm like, you know what? Kind of looking forward to this one, but not nearly to the point where I'm like, yes, Virna Jandiroba versus Yan Xiaonan. Yes. Can't wait to watch this, but it's a good fight for the division. Both girls are pretty talented, okay? Virna Jandiroba, a come-forward fighter who just wants to get her opponents to the ground. She's pretty durable. She does a good job at eating shots when she's getting close to you, and she's going to need to be able to do that if she's fighting someone like Yan Xiaonan. Now, Yan Xiaonan, on the other hand, is primarily a striker, but a decently well-rounded fighter. She has good speed. She has good heart, and heart did she show in the Zhang Weili loss, where you arguably lose the fight like 3 times, still coming back into to get the job done. But she did end up getting dominated over there. She bounced back, though, with a nice win over Tabitha Ricci, where she looked great in this fight. She didn't take too much damage. She's not out of her prime. The counters were on point, was able to defend Ricci's game, and just had a solid performance, completely outstriking her. Virna Jandiroba, though, on a very, very nice 4-fight win streak against Angela Hill, Marina Rodriguez, Lupita Godinez, and Amanda Lemos. The only standout win there is Lupita Godinez, in my opinion. Not a ton to look at, to be honest with you, in this fight. My takeaway is hey, it's a good performance for this division. But Yan Xiaonan, I know, is insanely tough. She is clearly going to be the better striker. Virna Jandiroba does eat a lot of shots coming in, trying to drag people to the ground. And I can see Yan Xiaonan clipping her with 4 shots by the time she gets a hold of her. Now, the problem is Yan Xiaonan going to be able to defend against the Virna Jandiroba? I would imagine so. She did a good job defending against Tabitha Ricci. I like her in this matchup, but Virna Jandiroba, it's the WMMA 115 division. Anything could happen, really, but I'm feeling good about Yan. I'm feeling good. And a little bit more of a gut pick of mine again, I can't remember what the other fight was where I had a gut pick, but my gut's saying Yan Xiaonan's going to get the job done. I see her landing more. I see her doing damage, and she actually does do a little bit of damage when she's landing on people. Yeah, I'm going to pick her to win. I'm going to pick her to win. Yan Xiaonan is going to be my pick to get the job done over in this fight, and she is an underdog in this matchup. The average odds are plus 130 for Yan Xiaonan. I actually don't mind that. I don't mind that. There's a lot of fights that I'm looking at here where I'm like, you know, could be added to the fun parlay. It would be a really fun parlay this time around, guys. But I'm going to pick Yan Xiaonan. I'm feeling okay about that one. But guys, before we talk about this absolute banger of a main card that we have here, let me stop you for just a second. As you might know, every week I do really like to dive into betting. I don't want to sound egotistical. I'm quite knowledgeable about the sport. I think that I have pretty good read. So if you're interested in either supporting the channel or seeing exactly what I'm doing with my money each weekend, every single Thursday, Friday, or Saturday morning, depending on whether or not I want to bet on any Friday fights, I'll be uploading a community members post as well as a members only video diving into exactly what I'm going to be doing with my money. If you want to see that or support the channel, you can join the channel membership, which is very cheap compared to other channels. You can find that pinned comment, description down below, or right next to the subscribe button. Also, OddsGym is a partner of the channel. What we have been using this tool, it's phenomenal. If you are a serious bettor with multiple sportsbooks, makes it very easy. They're very quick to update as well. So if you want a discount signing up for OddsGym, you can check out my link again in the pinned comment or description down below. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Let's get into it. Let's talk about this main card. And kicking off this main card, we have Bryce Mitchell versus Jean Silva. Guys, this is the fight on the card that I'm personally looking forward to the most. This is the people's main event. As much as I love Alexander Volkanovski, man, I am looking forward to this fight the most. I worry for Bryce Mitchell, though. I worry for him, okay? Bryce Mitchell, he's a decently well-rounded fighter, but he shines in the grappling. He is underrated on the feet. It's not like he's a grappler bust fighter. He is very underrated on the feet, but his goal is obviously to take you down and submit you. He's 17-2, has a great record. His only losses over to Ilia Topuria, which aged extremely well, and he actually had his moments against Ilia Topuria, which people don't forget. And then the Josh Emmett fight where he walked into a giant right hand. Didn't really get to show too much, and I just noticed how my dog is laying. That's Pleasant Sunny. Hi, baby. You good girl. It's like she knew the camera was on her, eh? Anyways, he walked into that and then got the big slam win against Kron Gracie, which, I mean, you might as well have, like, in the striking department, you might as well have fought like a high schooler at that point, to be honest with you. But Bryce Mitchell, very underrated fighter. Jean Silva, on the other hand, I am officially completely convinced of this guy. I really am on board with the people saying that this guy might be a top 5 contender one day. That would not shock me at all, okay? He is a very violent fighter. He makes fights mean, and he will do anything to hurt you. Not touch you. This dude wants to just hurt you. He will elbow you from anywhere. He will try to bully you, and he's one of those weirdos that legitimately looks like he is enjoying being there, and that's scary. He looks like he enjoys hurting people. He looks like there's not one single ounce of nerve on him. That is a scary man to be apart from, and so far, he's had a good chin too. He is a good striker. He has good power. He has good speed and decent takedown defense. It's not perfect, and that's what is going to be interesting for this matchup. I still do believe, though, and I've been saying this with every one of Jean Silva's fights, one day he's going to get cracked. Excuse me. One day he's going to get cracked. It might take a Diego Lopes. It might take somebody like that, but his chin is out there ready to be hit. I don't see Bryce Mitchell chinning him, so there's no point in talking about that. Obviously, the game plan is simple, right? Jean Silva, going to keep it on the feet. Bryce Mitchell, looking to take it to the ground. Can Bryce Mitchell get Jean Silva to the ground? The only reason that I'm hesitating, because initially I was like, no, Jean Silva, lock of the card. He's going to destroy Bryce Mitchell. But then I started thinking about it. He had his moments against Ilia Topuria. He took down Ilia Topuria. He kept up in the striking with Ilia Topuria for, like, as much as he did. That says something. Maybe I was underrating Bryce Mitchell. He has a great record. He's fought some great names. Jean Silva has not fought at Bryce Mitchell yet. So, is Bryce Mitchell going to be able to take him down? Bryce Mitchell is, like, a similar size to him, perhaps a little bit bigger. But I just struggle to, like, while I'm looking at this from a technical standpoint, going, you know what? Maybe Bryce can take Jean Silva down. He's had issues with Charles Jourdain, who Bryce Mitchell isn't, like, Bryce Mitchell's a way better wrestler than Charles Jourdain. I just have trouble when I'm sitting down and I'm actually picturing how the fight's going. I do not see Bryce Mitchell doing anything to him, and I see a complete, absolute domination from Jean Silva. You know? I don't know if anybody else feels the same way about it. It'd be crazy if Bryce Mitchell actually won this fight. I'm trying to argue that he's capable of winning this fight, but I don't believe it. Does that make sense? Like, Bryce Mitchell hurt Ilia Topuria on the feet. What if he hurts Gene Silva on the feet? Something that's also very, very underrated is Bryce Mitchell believes this is a good versus evil fight. Bryce Mitchell is very, very into his faith. When somebody has that kind of motivation, that is actually something that could drag you through a war and bring you to victory. I'm not saying that just because he thinks it's good versus evil, he's going to win, he's going to bring the fight. He's going to have an extra little edge in this fight, I think, Bryce Mitchell. He's going to be able to go through a little bit extra pain, okay? I just don't see him doing anything to Gene Silva. I seen Gene Silva just clocking him over and over again and finding a finish. Laughing, Bryce Mitchell being angry. I don't see Gene Silva losing at all. He's had a perfect run so far, and you know what? His fights haven't been perfect, but like I said, he looks like he's in there enjoying it. Hit me. I like it. I'm going to hit you now and finish you. It looked like he picked at what point he felt like finishing Melsik Bagdasaryan. I'm going to question Gene Silva when he gets to the top of the division, but I just do not see him beating Bryce Mitchell. I don't see it. I'd like to see Bryce Mitchell get the job done. But, man, Gene Silva, he's probably the most confident pick on the card. Is there any way Bryce Mitchell can win? I'm worried that I'm underrating Bryce Mitchell over here. But my pick is obviously going to be Gene Silva, and he's sitting at a minus 334 favorite. Completely understandable. Completely understandable. What's the props over here? Over 2.5 is at plus money. Bryce Mitchell's a tough guy. You know, maybe carrying that Christian heart. Maybe you can drag him through. I worry for Bryce Mitchell in this matchup, man. He's probably going to get, like, brutalized. Gene Silva's not a guy you want to be standing across from the octagon from. Not somebody who looks like he's enjoying himself. I'm good. Gene Silva's going to be my pick. Let's continue on up the card, though, guys, to another banger. We have Patricio Pitbull finally making his UFC debut. Unfortunately, it's when he's 38 years old, but he's taking on Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez, we all know him. We all know him at this point. He is an incredible kickboxer. Fast feet that lacks power, but arguably one of the best kickers in the entire game. He can be taken down. He can be held down. He has some BJJ off of his back, but Yair Rodriguez typically wants to keep it on the feet, and he wants to absolutely brutalize you doing so. Patricio Pitbull, on the other hand, he is 37 years old, as I mentioned, 38 years old. He is a Muay Thai and a BJJ fighter with a nice, well-rounded game in general. He has crisp hands, nice low kicks. He's really good at mixing in his Muay Thai elbows and knees into the game. He has also great experience with very, very underrated talent. The only problem is Patricio Pitbull is past his prime. He's a bit slower, and in some fights, you see him a little bit more inactive. It's almost like his mind still has that killer instinct in it, but his body just won't keep up with what he wants to do and what he used to do into the divisions, okay? If this was prime Patricio Pitbull, I'd be like, yeah, I think he's going to beat Yair Rodriguez. He can take him down. He'll do what he wants to. Maybe hold him up against the fence. Patricio Pitbull finally got a win after struggling in his last two performances. Yair Rodriguez, though, man, coming off of two rough losses in a row. Brian Ortega and Alexander Volkanovski. Volk makes sense. Brian Ortega, I lost money on this fight, and I'm shocked that he lost his fight. But in my opinion, guys, I'm sorry. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. But the way to beat Yair Rodriguez is to take him to the ground. The question is, can Patricio Pitbull take him to the ground? I would imagine so, but I'm worried about him being a little bit slower than we're used to. If this was prime Patricio Pitbull, I'd be like, yep, I think he's going to win. I think he has all the options in the world, but I think I see Yair Rodriguez kind of just picking him apart, blasting those kicks, hurting him. I don't know if he's going to finish Patricio Pitbull. He can. I have trouble envisioning this fight. Like I was going so deep into envisioning the Bryce Mitchell Gene Silva fight. I have trouble seeing what the kicks are going to do to damage Patricio Pitbull. You know, it's a tough fight. I'm going to give a lean towards Yair Rodriguez in this one. I don't like how inactive he's been. I don't know where he's been. I don't know if he's been injured or anything like that, but for him exiting his prime now, he should be a little bit more active. Is there a motivation issue? We don't know, but I'm going to lean towards Yair Rodriguez in this matchup. I don't know who I hope gets the win there. I like both guys. Let's see what OddsGem's saying over here. You can see Yair Rodriguez sitting at a minus 200 favorite. I guess understandable. Like I said, he's fighting not a washed, but a very, very well past his prime Patricio Pitbull. He's been in there with a ton of tough guys, a lot of hours in the octagon, tons of experience, but, you know, the body can't keep up at some point. He's not washed, but he is past his prime. Yair Rodriguez is just exiting his prime. I'm going to go with Yair Rodriguez to win. Now, guys, let me pause you one more time. Final pause of the video. As you might know, I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. So if you're enjoying the content, please consider checking out the link tree at the top description or the direct links to all of my other channels in the description down below. We have Clen, where we talk about gaming and Fortnite. We have, I almost said Clenbat, which is this channel. We have Clenema, where we talk about movies, TV, anime show reviews, anything of that sort. We also have Clenday, which is a variety of content, tier list talking about anything that's trending, and finally ClenClipsDaily, where you can find some stream clips, some great times, and, just short videos, funny moments, bite-sized content. I would love to have you guys over at any of the other channels if you enjoy the content. I push it out daily on multiple channels, so it's not just this one. You can check out content on the other channels, but I appreciate your time no matter what you choose to watch. All right, guys, let's continue on to the very, very interesting, in my opinion, featured bout over here. We have Nikita Krylov returning after, 2 years? Yeah, almost 2 years. 2-year layoff. The meme around the MMA community is nobody knows what Nikita Krylov has been up to, why he hasn't been fighting. He just disappeared. Here he is fighting Dominic Reyes. So he's taking on Dominic Reyes, and I'll start with Dominic Reyes, man. Dominic Reyes is a decently well-rounded fighter with great striking, movement, and power. He is very athletic for the 205 division. His game is evolving a little bit, in my opinion. He's recently spoke about becoming like the veteran of the game instead of coming in there looking for war, looking to get his ego and just trying to find that knockout. He's looking to actually like really, really do some tape study. If I'm not mistaken, he said something along the lines of like, nobody does more tape study than me. He was really talking about how much he's like really, really preparing for his fights. He's added in some nice elbows into his game, and he is clearly being more patient into his fights. Since he finally broke that losing streak, he got the nice win over Dustin Jacoby, and then demolished Anthony Smith, absolutely destroyed him. The only takeaway that I've seen from Dominic Reyes in his return fights, which, I mean, like, he's got fed, and we can talk about, he's got fed to some really, really tough guys. Ryan Span's capable of knocking anybody out, to be honest with you, but we were worried about his chin at that point. Plus, Dominic Reyes had the thing going with the brain bleed. I'm kind of looking at him with these two fights over here. He's getting better. He's still evolving at 35 years old, but he is still hittable. He's taking on Nikita Krylov, who, like I said, has been absent. Completely absent. Nobody knows where he's been. He's coming off of a 3-fight win streak against Alexander Gustafsson, Volkan Ozdemir, and Ryan Span, which these two have aged pretty well, but there are two fighters that are, going towards the end of their career. Nikita Krylov is a well-rounded fighter who does a good job mixing things up. He has good pressure. He'll probably want to take Dominic Reyes to the ground. Now, the question is, will Nikita Krylov be able to take Dominic Reyes to the ground? I don't think so, actually. I don't think so. I'm going with my gut a little bit over here, but guys, I think this is a good matchup for Dominic Reyes particularly. I think Dominic Reyes will be a better striker, and I would be surprised if Nikita Krylov took him down. So I believe this fight's going to remain on the feet, and I think that Dominic Reyes he's going to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm assuming that he's still going to be evolving his game, but this is a clear step up in competition from compared to what Dominic Reyes has been taking on in his 2 wins. Nikita Krylov, though, on the other hand, we don't know why he's been off. Has he been injured? Has he been content? Has he made enough money and done some good investments? Like, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's been going on with him. Okay? 2-year layoff. Ring rust is real. He is now exiting his prime. Dominic Reyes is seemingly more focused than ever. I like him in this particular matchup. I'm going to pick Dominic Reyes to win. I like him. I like him in this matchup, guys. And I always cheer for Dominic Reyes. I hope he gets a job done too. Dominic Reyes is the underdog. I wonder if people are to be honest with you, I didn't expect that. I thought Dominic Reyes was going to be the favorite. But he's sitting at a plus 159 underdog over there. Not a fight that I would bet on personally. Maybe again, another fun parlay. Over 2.5 at plus money too. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. There's some potential there, guys. There's some potential. But again, Dominic Reyes is going to be my pick to get the job done. All right, guys, let's continue on over to the co-main event, the 5-round co-main event between Michal, Chandler, and Paddy Pimblett. We all know both these guys at this point. Michal Chandler is a very, very explosive and heavy-handed wrestler. He has decent cardio. He has great heart. He's good at pushing the pace. Oftentimes, we all know this about Michal Chandler, but he does lack fight IQ. He can get caught up in the moment, wanting to please the fans, and he leaves his chin in the air with little room to adjust. When he is focused, Michal Chandler actually does have some pretty nice technique, but you can never count on that. Paddy Pimblett, on the other hand, he is a very, very sneaky grappler with sloppy but creative striking. Seems like he's been working on that, but still, there is a lot of work that needs to be done in the striking department. It's weird, because he keeps just finding wins, but like I said, he seems to have the striking just improving a little bit. Since coming to the UFC, it's been win, except obviously the Jared Gordon fight was ridiculous. That was a horrible robbery, but he came back. Tony Ferguson, that win means nothing. He beat Bobby Green. I think that was a good test, to be honest with you, and he kind of destroyed Bobby Green. He looked vastly improved in that fight, but I know that Bobby Green might be, I don't want to say he's done yet, but it's a good win. It's a good win. Michal Chandler, on the other hand, it sucks because, and I'm not a Michal Chandler hater like everybody else is, man. Something I forgot to mention about Michal Chandler is he'll blatantly cheat. Whether it's eye gouging, sticking his fingers in your mouth, hitting the back of the head. I should have broke that down with Michael Chandler. Since coming to the UFC, he's had a rocky road. Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira. He's had moments in all of these fights where he showed the capability of winning, and Michael Chandler certainly can beat any guy in the lightweight division on any given day. He just chooses to not have fight IQ. He chooses to go for war. He chooses to please the fans, you know? And usually it doesn't end up going his way, to be honest with you. Michael Chandler's also 39 years old. Like, I think he's way past his prime now. His heart carried him through the Charles Oliveira fight. He got destroyed, though. He got destroyed, but the problem is that's also Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is a phenomenal fighter. But I do think that Michael Chandler has lost a step, but it could have been ring rust too. Who knows? Who knows? Because there's a big jump in the Dustin Poirier fight, which is over 2 years ago, into a fight with Charles Oliveira with 3 months. Michael Chandler's capable of winning this fight, but I gotta go with Paddy Pimblett. The problem is, if Michael Chandler sat down, and I know that Michael Chandler isn't going to swing for the fences, and I know that Michael Chandler is going to focus on technique, perhaps mix some wrestling in, actually have some calculate, as much as you can calculate the overhands, you get what I'm talking about. Like Michael Chandler that we've seen in Bellator with a little bit of an edge, but not, depending on what fight you want to pick. Like, there have been times where Michael Chandler has showed up, and he's technical and looks phenomenal. He's capable of beating Paddy Pimblett if he's like that, but I can't trust him to show up like that. You know? He's a better striker than Paddy Pimblett. I believe that. He's a better wrestler than Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett has the edge in the grappling. Paddy Pimblett, it's going to be some sloppy striking. I can see Michael Chandler like really, really clocking him. But then Paddy Pimblett, you know, Scousers don't get knocked out. He hasn't been knocked out yet. What if he drops to the ground, Michael Chandler goes on top of him, swinging for the fences, falls into a triangle? Something like that. Michael Chandler goes for a takedown. The first one that he's gone for in God knows how long. And actually succeeds, but he falls into a guillotine. I can see something like that happening. This is a weird fight, man. 5 rounds, 2 Paddy Pimblett's untested there. Michael Chandler, at least, like, we know his heart can push through his cardio. I don't know. That's a 50-50, guys. It's a clear step down in competition for Michael Chandler. That's important to note, too. He's been taking on the toughest of the tough. I'm going to go with Paddy Pimblett. He's 30 years old. Michael Chandler is not the same fighter that he was. But again, what if that was ring rust? What if that was ring rust? And what if that was just Charles Oliveira? I don't know. 50-50. For the sake of the video, my pick is going to be Paddy Pimblett. I don't know who I'd like to see win, guys. I feel bad for Michael Chandler. I feel bad that the whole world hates him. I'm not a hater like Michael Chandler, but I do understand why everybody hates him. But I like Paddy Pimblett too. This fight is just going to be weird, man. Paddy Pimblett's sitting at a minus 159 favorite over there. Makes sense. He's the younger guy. He's on a roll right now. And over 2.5 is at plus odds. I don't hate that. Don't hate that at all. There are some interesting props this time around, guys. Very, very interesting. And look out, guys, because I might end up making a prop video. A couple of you commented down below and said you'd be interested, so we'll test a couple of those videos. I don't know if it's going to be for this card, but look out for that. I do want to get into uploading that. But, guys, very reluctant to say so. It's a 50-50 fight, but Paddy Pimblett is going to be my pick for the sake of the video. Now let's continue on to the main event, guys. We have Alexander Volkanovski coming back at 36 years old, going on 37 years old, taking on surging contender in his prime, Diego Lopes. We all know Alexander Volkanovski. In my opinion, prime Alexander Volkanovski is the greatest fighter of all time. He is a complete fighter. No matter where it is in MMA, he can match you in it and oftentimes do better. Alexander Volkanovski is one of the most perfect, technically sound fighters that we have. And you add the cardio, heart, all of that, Alexander Volkanovski can do it all. Diego Lopes, on the other hand, I think that people are underrating this guy still, man. I know that people are talking about, like, oh, Diego Lopes talking, like, getting to a title. There's some Diego Lopes, like, you know, there's people on the Diego Lopes train, but I still see doubt in Diego Lopes. I'm convinced of the dude. I am. He is a great all-around fighter who seems to be making improvements every single time that we see him. He's very strong in the grappling. His hands are absolutely no joke. The dude, like Alexander Volkanovski, can pretty well do everything. He comes right out of the gate ferocious for 3 hard rounds. This dude will want to beat you in a fight. He wants to take your head off with every single shot, and he can keep that pace up for 3 rounds. The question is, can he keep up this pace with Alexander Volkanovski over 5 rounds? I would imagine so. But that's something to take into consideration. What if Diego Lopes starts to slow down and gas? Especially in his last fight, like, he just destroyed. He's been on a roll since coming to the UFC, man. And I know that he had the Movsar fight, and that was a little bit of a hiccup, but again, that was short notice too. Destroying people. Sadiq Youssef, very, very underrated win. Dan Ige, great win. Brian Ortega, I think that Brian Ortega is a very overrated fighter, but he had an absolute destruction against Diego Lopes. I was having a little bit of a moment where I was like, I don't know if I'm necessarily convinced of Diego Lopes, but after that destruction, man, I'm completely convinced of Diego Lopes being the real deal, man. He is a very complete fighter as well. But Alexander Volkanovski, man, it sucks. He is coming off of 2 back-to-back losses, knockouts. Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev. The problem is, these are absolutely phenomenal fighters. I worry, and I think that Alexander Volkanovski's chin is gone. The problem is that Alexander Volkanovski's still a great fighter, right? He's still a great fighter. I just worry about his old age, and I worry about his chin. I think Makhachev took his chin. He was outboxing Ilia Topuria the entire time, and he just ended up getting caught. He was leaning way too much back in order to like evade that shot Ilia was throwing. It was only a matter of time before he got clipped in that fight, and I can see the same thing happening. If he's like outstriking Diego Lopes, doing what Alexander Volkanovski does, he's very confident in there. I would imagine Alexander Volkanovski, though, he's the type of guy to worry about covering his chin. I don't like how much he leaves it out there. I don't like how much he leans back. Diego Lopes on the aggression could probably clip him, If this was prime Volk, no question he'd beat Diego Lopes. No question. He would match his pace. He would do better. I think his chin's gone. And I know it's Ilia Topuria, and I know Ilia Topuria also just took Max's chin. 2 back-to-back KO losses. It didn't look good. Plus, Alexander Volkanovski, he's all into cooking with Volk now, and that's great. I love watching him cooking with Volk, but you got to question, is the dude as motivated as he was? By the sounds of it, he is, but, he is doing stuff on the side, so who knows? He's sitting out, coming in against Diego Lopes, who's surging, has all of the momentum right now in his prime. Very powerful. I think Diego Lopes is going to knock him out. I think it might be quicker than Ilia Topuria, and I hate to say that. I think Alexander Volkanovski is the better fighter. I do think that his chin's gone. I think that Makhachev took his chin. And Diego Lopes is going to come forward, swinging for the fences for at least 3 rounds, we know. And I would imagine that he's going to catch Volk with a big shot at some point. Okay? It makes me sad to see because, don't get me wrong, I like Diego Lopes, but Alexander Volkanovski is up there with my favorite fighters. I don't want to see him go out, and I worry that Alexander Volkanovski is going to go out like BJ Penn. How many times have we seen champions like Alexander Volkanovski fall from grace? He's not going to get the title back. I don't believe he's going to get the title back, and I think that Diego Lopes is going to be the new featherweight champion of the world. I hate to say it, but I think he's going to finish Volk. It's going to break my heart. Thanks, Diego Lopes. But I do like Diego Lopes, don't get me wrong. Diego Lopes sitting at an underdog over here. I'm considering betting on that, guys. I'm pretty confident. But if anybody can beat the odds, if anybody can beat the age, it's Alexander Volkanovski. In my opinion, Prime Volk is the greatest fighter of all time. I just think he's going to get chin, man. Let's see what the props we have over here. Over 3.5 at minus 200. Under 3.5, don't hate that. I don't hate that. I just see Volk getting chin, guys. I just see it. Makes me sad to see, but Alexander Volkanovski, as much as I want him to win, I do not think he's going to win, and Diego Lopes is going to be my pick to become the new featherweight champion of the world. I cannot wait for this card. It's going to be exciting. Pretty well from top to bottom, guys. Pretty well from, or I guess you could say bottom to top. Let me know what you thought about all of the fights down below. Thank you so much for being here and watching. Check out this video on screen if you want to keep watching the channel. YouTube thinks that you will like this video the best of you enjoying the content. Thank you again for being here, everybody. Take care, guys.